Hello, beautiful babes. I am here with YouTuber sensation, Kathrin. Well, bigger than me at least. Kathrin is a really, really awesome human being. She has her own political channel. She talks about radical politics in it and does really in-depth and informative and like really, really interesting videos about veganism, anti-capitalism, feminism, self-care and like mental health, and today she has come onto my channel and I'm asking her questions about what it's like to be a YouTuber as a woman and inspirations for her own YouTube channel. So if you're thinking about starting your own, or if you just want to see a smoky eye makeup look, stay tuned. We got some really interesting stuff planned. Yeah, let's get started. So yeah, welcome Katie.
Hello.
We've already prepped her face and moisturized it, so we can just head on to foundations with her own foundation. Tell us a bit about yourself. Like, how did you become a YouTuber? Yeah, YouTuber, right?
So I've been thinking about it for quite a long time. I think it was like 3 or 4 years before I actually started that I considered making leftist videos.
Yeah,
but I guess because of the barriers to entry on YouTube, especially being a woman talking about politics online, I kind of put it off for a really, really long time. But I think the reason I started is because there's so few female voices on YouTube, and I do think it's quite a male-dominated, I mean on like LeftTube, male-dominated space, and I felt like I had an interesting perspective from some of my life experiences that were unique, I guess as most people probably do. And I think also YouTube is such an important platform because it has plays such a powerful role in shaping social norms of young people with just the amount of people that watch leftist YouTube, watch YouTube in general. And I think I grew up really frustrated by the fact that the majority of female people on YouTube were like beauty channels and haul videos, but like on radical beauty channels, and like, I don't know, promoting lots of consumerism and giving, I guess, women the impression that to be a woman you have to like wear makeup and be beautiful and all of these things that, like, there's nothing wrong with those channels inherently, but the fact that they dominate YouTube so much I think is a problem in shaping female social norms. And so I kind of wanted to counteract that in a very small way by creating my own channel.
But you got like thousands of views per video and everything. Like, you got 1,000 followers now, right? Over 1,000.
I think it's like, yeah, it's like 2,000, I think. Like, the community has been amazing on YouTube in terms of like sharing people's videos and people shouting you out, and like I think that's something that will really benefit LeftTube so much, because that's something that we don't have. I think right-wing channels are much more competitive and individualistic and don't want to build each other up, whereas we're all aiming for the same thing, so it's more about community than individualism. So
yeah, I think my reasons for joining were kind of the same actually. Like, it was a question of using YouTube as a platform to have it stop being dominated by the far right. Like, that was always a big agenda for me. Like, if you look at how different groups or political groups relate to media, to like, as you know, as a way to spread our ideas, we've always preferred TV, print, newspaper, kind of places where you don't have that big of an audience on the left, because we've always preferred, let's say, credentials, authority, you know, that kind of stuff to wider audiences. Like, obviously we've always been into sharing into wider audiences, but that wasn't ever the priority. And what the far right has done so perfectly to their advantage is completely bypass any form of gatekeeping in terms of authority. Like, if they don't want to go to the media and, like, you know, publish an article that spells absolute bullshit on migrants, for instance, they don't have to, because they have a platform where they have 1 million followers and they can just go out and completely like overturn those structures.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the fact that most of our ideas are considered too radical for mainstream, any kind of mainstream movements, and like for mainstream media, we need to use platforms that actually allow us in some way to spread those ideas. And I mean, YouTube doesn't really allow it in a lot of ways because they demonetize so many radical political channels, and they like shut down so many of our channels, and yeah, it's really frustrating. But we've got to like take back some space on these platforms. YouTube definitely, the algorithm definitely benefits channels that are all about selling ads and selling products, and like it definitely favors right-wing content. So we need as many left-wing people on YouTube as possible to take back some space and
not only like on the channel, but also like in the very algorithms that compose YouTube and the very like material structure of YouTube. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think there's a lot of potential for YouTube to become a really massive platform, especially because like, I mean, I don't know, it's much easier to watch a video on YouTube than to like read an article. Like definitely, you know, especially the short ones. And people always talk about getting sucked into a YouTube black hole of videos, and they never really talk about getting sucked into Guardian articles. Like that never ever happens. And I think that if we in the left have the capacity to claim that, we will not only take away a platform that is almost exclusively dominated by right-wing and apolitical people, but will also create a very, very big platform for left ideas. Like, you know, I kind of wanted to come back on the YouTube community and what it's like to be a woman on YouTube. Like, my experience of it has been like pretty okay for now, but I've, you know, like trolling is a thing, especially for my kind of channel where people don't really get the concept a lot of the time. Like, you know, it looks really frivolous, and it's either not good makeup or not good politics. And I get like a lot of like clash for that, even though, you know, loads of people like support me loads. But I feel like it's harder to be a YouTuber if you're a woman, if you're a person of color, not just for like lack of resources, like, you know, who can afford a camera, but also because you get so much shit and actually so little support online that it kind of demotivates you.
Yeah, just even from even the barrier to entry from starting YouTube, we both spoke about how it took us years before we started making videos. And for me, a big part of that was like, as a woman, I thought I wouldn't be taken as seriously, just because all spaces in politics are male dominated. If you look at like people talking about politics in the media and in the news and politicians, it's just so male dominated that you come to believe that the realm of politics is one that's for men, and so you think people aren't going to take you as seriously, so you don't get involved in like politics. And you don't, even from a young age, you don't take an interest in politics a lot of the time because you're like, oh, well, this space isn't for me. So that is a massive hindrance to women talking about politics online.
Yeah, it does remind me of something that we spoke really like earlier about how we didn't feel comfortable having our face on there and thinking constantly like, oh my god, do I look good? Yeah. And I wonder if men also ask themselves that, if that's like a barrier, because it was definitely a barrier to me. I was like, why would I have my face in a close-up with like thousands of people watching me if I have like a pimple on my face, especially for someone doing like makeup and stuff. Absolutely.
That was the thing that put me off for so long. I tried filming so many videos, and then I looked at myself and I was like, oh, I look disgusting, there's no way I'm ever going to put this online. And in real life I'm really quite confident and I don't really care that much about my appearance, but for some reason online there just seems, I think also because there's so many YouTubers that are like very conventionally attractive, female YouTubers, because there's beauty channels and haul videos and like lifestyle channels where there's a like very set way of looking. And also I think we should definitely acknowledge like our privileges, because as I am a white person, and like our beauty norms are like the more
easier and adaptable, and
the closer in proximity you are to whiteness, the more you are seen to be attractive within our culture. And then I've often, I don't know if you've done this, but I've often like been like, oh, maybe I should buy some clothes for this video, or like advice.
Oh my god, the amount of times.
I'm trying to talk about politics. I don't need to look beautiful to talk about politics. But as women, you're taught that your primary value begins with your appearance. And that's the most important, that's the most important thing. And on YouTube, that's the first thing that they see. Well, I guess in real life as well. And I also felt like no one's gonna listen to me if I look terrible. And then it's difficult to know how to navigate it, because it's do you go there and do those things that make you more watchable, as in make put loads of effort into your appearance, and then by that people will listen to you more, and then your ideas come across better, or do you reject all of that and just not give a shit about it, and then but people are less likely to listen to you? What is the answer? Yeah,
it's still a bit of a pickle for me.
On the other hand, I feel like it's actually really refreshing when you see people, especially women, who just don't give a shit and are just fuck this, and I'm not gonna do these things that are it's just really frustrating.
It is really frustrating. It's like you have to do double the work just to be at a sort of normal level of being watchable on YouTube.
Yeah. And then at the same time as well, not wanting, look how disgusting it is, the amount of exploitation that goes into the makeup that we use and the clothes that we buy, and how that's actually harming so many women who make up the majority of people that produce clothing
and makeup.
And in the majority world, so it's confusing.
It is. And unfortunately we have no answer.
Sorry. But basically what we're trying to say, I think, is that we think that more women should go on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely.
I wanted to add though, I have received so many, I don't know how it's been like for you, but so many gendered insults that I do think are men probably wouldn't receive as much of, but I might be wrong. But for example, on the veganism video, someone was like, oh, if you should eat meat because then then maybe your boobs would get bigger.
Lol. What? Oh my god, someone actually said that to you?
Yeah, and then others were like, oh, no, one was like, oh, you look malnourished. And then, I don't know, I've had oh, you look like, oh, you're such a dumb blonde, and it's such gender, it's if they can't attack your politics, they'll attack your appearance, but as a woman, I think you're much more likely to be attacked for your appearance.
Because your politics at some point just kind of get lost.
But maybe I'm wondering, it's the male equivalent, men would be attacked more for their, how funny they are, or how they're not manly for the views and things like that. So I suppose there's a gender dimension to male insults as well. I don't know. Have you experienced this, those kind of comments?
I've experienced a lot of people saying that my politics are basically not worthy because they associate it with makeup. So a lot of people being
really, that's bad.
People just not really watching it. One of the videos I did was empowerment through nails. I obviously did not mean get empowered by, I was saying the exact contrary, and I still had a comment which was you can't get empowered through nails, what are these women thinking these days, all their makeup and clothes and stuff, and I was like, honey, calm down. Calm down. No, it's pretty awful.
I really like that you do that though, use a Trojan horse kind of approach, and I really would like to try and do that a little more.
Oh, it is absolutely a Trojan horse. It's actually pretty thrilling if you think about it, because you're I'm uploading my video, which looks like any one of your YouTube makeup videos, and as soon as you open it, you're whoa, what is this world talking about activism and politics and what?
And also I imagine that your videos are much more friendly to the algorithm as well, because they're makeup channels tend to do pretty well. Whereas mine kind of get immediately demonetized. And also, no one's going to click on one of my videos is called Veganism, Capitalism and Intersectionality. That just sounds so boring. It sounds much more appealing to watch something how to get empowered. You need to help me with my titles.
I think it's not boring, it's just the kind of audience that you'll be attracting. I would literally go onto YouTube and type in feminism anti-capitalism and like intersectionality and veganism. Like that's the thing that I would do because I am a nerd. But
so would I, yeah.
Yeah, and I would find that like, you know, the title's great, like I would have nothing to say about it, but it was really hard making that shift. Like I had a friend literally sit me down and be like, no, you can't use that title. No one will click on it. None of the people that you really want to have on your channel will be interested in watching, because they'll be like, I don't want to watch something about, you know, anti-capitalism. I want a tutorial on how to have a summer glow. Fuck you.
Yeah. Like, and that's the thing, I've had mostly people who already agree with me, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that inherently, but that's not what I am. What we are like trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube is a platform where you could literally get 1 million views in one day, and these things go really quickly, and like things go viral much more easily because it's a much more shareable platform. So I think that if we're going to take advantage of it, and also, as I said before, like kind of try and bypass the idea of authority and the idea of like gatekeeping information and, you know, expertise being required, or like years of experience being required for sharing knowledge, which obviously has like its downsides because people can go around and say absolute bullshit, but also the fact that we can just bypass that, and it's so easy to do, and that's really, really exciting for me.
I also was thinking earlier about the fact that I have so much internalized sexism that has meant that how I consume YouTube or politics in general has been really kind of problematic. So, for example, I really noticed a few years ago that I was just watching all male leftists, and I wasn't like male white leftists, because I'd kind of internalized that, as I was saying earlier, that they are the ones that know about politics. And I don't know, I think that's like also a barrier to women and like people of color and well, any minorities on YouTube to getting any views, but also just like that's something that we all need to be aware of within ourselves, like catch ourselves doing these things, because even I was doing those things or still probably do these things subconsciously, and yeah, we all need to be aware of it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, you know, all the groups where people have anything to say about politics are dominated by men, and it's a real shame, because I think that, well, my experience of YouTube has genuinely been women supporting women, especially when it comes to like finding some sort of weird compromise between being feminine, wearing makeup, etc., and like talking about politics and talking about that kind of stuff. But it's also been a really good exploration of like feminist topics, like collective care, you know, like intersectionality, like feminism. And I think that that's something that your channel does really well as well, which means that there's much more diverse content on YouTube, and it's not just like men talking about sex work.
Yeah.
Which is, no.
I feel like, I don't know how you felt about this, but this was also a reason I wanted to start YouTube, was that there's such a like masculine, I guess is such a masculine energy on YouTube, and like a lot of leftist content is very reacting to the alt-right or drama and like
subtweeting and
or I don't know, and there is a place for that, and I do think that's important, and I guess that's good for the algorithm, but I think we need to get beyond that as well, and also have different kind of ideas and perspectives.
For me, it definitely seems like, I mean, not like the YouTube community like in general, but there are certain parts of the radical left on YouTube that are, like you said, like very dominated by beef and by general, like, not really banter, open your lips, but that kind of like bad faith in politics, and like really insisting on, I need to take other people down, and, you know, how can I do this, like, yeah, it's a bit petty.
Yeah.
And, you know, social media has a really, like, for me, it's like a necessary evil, because obviously everyone is on there and has a really capacity for like a really big reach. Can you do this? I don't know, I wish we could find a way. I mean, my politics is a lot about being in good faith and being honest, and I think that's especially important from when you're on YouTube and you're on social media, where like you can get a lot of retweets for saying basically anything, and no one's really, or like, you know, when people are going to check you on your stuff, like, it's going to be either too late. Oops.
Sorry, I moved my mouth.
It's going to be either too late or not really substantial. And so there's like a really big need to be honest, and there's a really big need to be like humble and in good faith. And I think there's like definitely that missing on Twitter and other kinds of social media, really. Yeah,
it's all about who can have like the hottest take, and not about necessarily like critiquing people, but not in a way to try and like actually help that person like see the right way or have some kind of empathy for their like approach. And I don't know, I'm not sure what the best strategy is.
It's alright, we don't have any answers. Thank you for watching.
I have spoken about being a woman on YouTube before, and a lot of the comments were sort of like, stop complaining, a lot of women have it worse than you in the developing world, and blah blah blah. And I think that just plays into this really negative idea that's like come about at the moment, that of like hierarchies of suffering. And I think this really helps to trivialize and normalize abuse and like any kind of suffering, because anytime you suffer you think, oh well, someone has it worse than me so I don't complain about it. Or if you get abused, like this abuse isn't as bad as what other women or men experience, or anyone experiences, so I'm not going to complain about it. And I hate this idea of hierarchies of suffering. Like, I can complain about and bring attention to the ways in which I am being objectified or sexualized in a way that I don't want to be, while still acknowledging that other people have it worse than me, but that doesn't invalidate my experience.
Yeah, I mean, you start from the basis that it's all part of a structure, and that there are different parts to a structure, and that doesn't, like, one facet of abuse doesn't invalidate other facets of abuse. Even if some are more, like, fundamental or, like, you know, should be fought with much more, like, extremity and, like, urgency, I think that it's still really valid to call out different nuances in the system, not just because it helps you understand it better, that, you know, like, if you're gonna go on YouTube, then that's what's gonna happen to you because patriarchy, but also, I don't know, because, like, it doesn't invalidate, as you said, the other things. And also people who do this, like, a lot of times do it in bad faith. Like, they will care neither about you and neither about the people they so-called, you know, care for more. Like, it's all very much a way to shut you down.
Are we done?
Yeah. Close your eyes. Setting spray. Woo! Alright, that's us pretty much done. The beautiful smoky eye look for Kathrin. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. I had a really good time.
Nice. Yeah, it was really, really nice having you. And if you want to see more of Kathrin, you can follow her channel. I'll link it in the description box below. The rest of my videos you can see following my own channel. And yeah. And
we're going to do a video on my channel together, so if you want to see more of Combabe,
yay!
we'll link it in the doobly-doo. Is that what it's called? Description box? I don't know what they call it.
Yeah, see you next time, Combabes. Bye bye bye.